Hi guys, it is Tamra. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about psychotic stalkers. And this is a topic that I have gotten so many emails and requests for. It's amazing to get emails almost every other day asking me questions about this video that I did a year ago and this video right here on the topic of stalking. And I cannot believe, like, if I showed you guys my Gmail account and my website account, you would see like at least 100 emails that I have like put in a folder for the topic of stalking. It's a really serious offense, and unfortunately we don't always have law enforcement, advocacy groups, or other agencies to really help us understand how to deal with stalking. So I'm going to put the video at the end of this video where I talk about ways to protect yourself against stalkers. But in today's video, I'm going to focus on a subgroup in a small population known as psychotic stalkers. So let's go ahead and jump in. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed and participating, thank you so much. We just made 8,000 plus subscribers, and it's so cool to be able to look at this and say, this is fantastic. This is a mental health community where we talk about trauma, we talk about mental health, and we support each other, right? And you guys get a chance to express yourself and tell your stories, and I get a chance to offer you the information that I have learned through both personal and professional experience. So I feel like it's a win-win channel. So thank you so much for coming back every single time. For those of you who are not subscribed and are new and have absolutely no idea who I am, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can stick around with us and be a part of our growing and validating community. And let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Tamra, and I'm an internationally certified, licensed and board certified child and adolescent therapist. I also work with families and adults who are dealing with trauma, grief, and loss. So on this channel, you get a specialist who zones in on relationships and families, dynamics, and systems. And trauma, that's the foundation. So I welcome you to the channel. The benefits for you in today's video is that I'm going to highlight different characteristics and demographics of psychotic stalkers. And I'm also going to point out exactly what they do. So when I talk about stalkers to my clients, I like to categorize them. I like to categorize them into three groups. One is psychotic stalker, two is a non-psychotic stalker, and three is a thrill stalker. Okay, these are not categories that you're going to open up a book or go online and find. These are categories that I've created in my clinical practice to help my clients categorize who is who, because there's so many categories, there's so many demographics, there's so many personalities and characteristics that it's hard to categorize a stalker. So I like to utilize those three categories to ensure that my clients can safely and accurately separate the characteristics and the personalities and behaviors of the stalker. So let's just talk about stalking and stalkers in general, okay? The National Center for Victims of Crime, is there to help individuals who are struggling with intimate partner violence or domestic abuse, or any other kind of physical, sexual, emotional, or psychological abuse that a stalker may display or may engage in. You know, stalkers tend to be rather arrogant, right? They think that they can get away with what they do. They think that they're sly and slick and quick enough to do what they do and not get caught. They also have a calm reserve or an arrogance, right? That they're gonna get what they want. That at the end of the road, they're gonna be exactly what they want to be, you know, in your eyes and in the eyes of the public. So what I mean by that is they're gonna be like a Casanova to you, you know, whether that's a female or a male, and to the world they're gonna be really charming and very glib, you know. Unfortunately, that's typically not the truth of a stalker. The stalker tends to be, like I said, rather arrogant and complacent, and they have this calm reservation that they're going to get what they want. You know, a lot of them are narcissists, a lot of them are sociopaths, and a lot of them are psychopaths. And that's what I define as, or categorize, I should say, as being the non-psychotic stalker, that sociopath, that psychopath, and that narcissist, you know? Everything must go their way. I talk about it in this video right up here, but I encourage you to watch this video all the way to the end, then click on that video up there and check that out. But the non-psychotic stalkers are the ones that I talk about in those videos, okay? They're the ones with the personality disorders. Now, let me give you a definition of stalking, okay? Stalking is basically engaging in a course of conduct repeatedly that an individual does not want. It's engaging in a course of conduct repeatedly that an individual does not want, okay? It's unwanted attention. It's unwanted flattering and sexual, sexual stimulation, I can call it that, right? Like, I think some stalkers feel like, well, if I call you sexy, or if I, look at you a certain way, or if I wink at you, or if I type something up and send it to you, that you're going to be flattered. It's unwanted completely, right? When you're dealing with a stalker, I don't want anything from you is really what the victim is saying, whether they say it or don't say it directly, right? And some women feel that they can just kind of send vibes to you, I don't want your affection, I don't want your attention, and I don't like what you're doing to me. Whether that's typing things to me, whether that's talking to me, I don't want it, So stalking is a course of conduct that's unwanted, and it's repeated. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. It's not getting through to the stalker, I'm disinterested in you. It doesn't click, okay? I think that stalkers can have a mental illness. I think that stalkers can have a personality disorder. I also think that stalkers can be very arrogant and narcissistic. And I also think that stalkers can be rather criminalistic as well. There's a course of treatment that I utilize, and that a lot of my colleagues utilize, to help us understand the course of behavior of an individual who's kind of oppositional and doesn't really follow the rules of society. They're kind of rebellious. Usually it starts like this. Now, I wonder if I have, let me grab a pen, guys. I'm going to walk you through something here really briefly, and then we're going to get back onto the topic of stalkers. Because I want to point out a couple of things that they do, okay? So here's how I like to categorize that scale of kind of like rebellious behavior. Okay, I'm just going to do it this way, all right? So this is how, this is how I do it. So when I'm talking to families who are bringing up children, primarily boys who are oppositional, they're defiant, they're impulsive, I usually start with ADHD at the top. Now, this is quite controversial, but there is research that backs this theory up. So there's ADHD at the very top, right? So that's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. As an adult, it's ADD, attention deficit disorder. You can either have the hyperactive component, an impulsive component, or you can just be inattentive, okay? So we have ADHD. In the middle of that scale, okay, we have oppositional defiant disorder. That is an intentional kind of a disorder. The individual behaves in ways that they know is unacceptable, but they get a rush. They don't want to follow rules. They don't want to fall in line. If that doesn't get treated, if ADHD doesn't get treated, it can slip into ODD. If ODD does not get properly treated, it can slip into conduct disorder. Conduct disorder, the best way to characterize these individuals is fire setting, animal cruelty, and really bordering sociopathy, okay? If that doesn't get treated, which is very difficult to treat, but if we don't incorporate some kind of intervention, then it can slide down to antisocial personality disorder, okay? And that's how I like to categorize those individuals who stalk. And they kind of go over the line a little bit, This is basically a clear understanding of, okay, this is how symptoms can progress over time. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind as we go along, okay? Now, research suggests from the CDC that one in six women and 1 in 17 men have been stalked. Now, men are stalked, and so are women, right? Not just women. There's a lot of stories about women, but there's also stories about men as well who were stalked, So it's a thing. However, more women get stalked than men, all right? So 1 in 17 men, according to the CDC, get stalked. Women, it's 1 in 6, okay? 54% of individuals, by the time they hit age 25, have been stalked, okay? That's another statistic for this from the CDC. It's a serious and terrible crime. And, I honestly do not believe that stalking is something that happens just because that person is attracted to you and they love you. They love you. I believe stalking is a power play. I believe that whether it's psychotic or non-psychotic, it's a power play. Most of the time, if it's psychotic stalking, then you're most likely dealing with an individual who's delusional. And I talk about that right up here in this video. You're also possibly dealing with an individual who hallucinates, right? So they may be hallucinating that you've called them. They may be hallucinating that they're hearing your voice around their backyard. They may be hallucinating that you touch them a certain way, right? They may also have dreams and mistaken them for reality. So there's a disconnect from reality with psychotic stalkers. And it's not so easy to just say, hey, leave me alone. It doesn't click, right? And I think that's what makes psychotic stalkers way more dangerous than non-psychotic stalkers, because they don't know when to stop. And honestly and truthfully, they don't have the capacity to do so. So let me point out some characteristics, okay, of the psychotic stalker. The first characteristic that I want you to think about is that they repeatedly show up at places where you don't expect them to. They repeatedly show up on your forum, on your online forum. They repeatedly show up on your Facebook page. They repeatedly show up on your YouTube channel. They repeatedly show up at your job, at the grocery store, at your place of work, at your front step. And they try to play it off as, I'm just checking on you, or I'm just visiting this particular place just to see how you are, or I just thought I would stop by and see how you've been lately, right? They try to play it down and normalize it, when the reality is that they're obsessing over you, and they just need to get back into that realm of your existence, right? They need to get back to where they feel in power. They also need to get back to where they feel that their control lies, right? They control you when they stalk you, when they frighten you, when they make you feel trapped. So, it really is a power play. So they repeatedly show up in places where you don't expect them to. The next things, guys, I want you to keep in mind about these particular stalkers, the psychotic stalkers, is that they will often do really weird and odd things, like leave items in places where you'll find them. Now, this is an interesting thing that I've learned over time, and even that research has suggested in various studies on this topic, that the psychotic stalker or non-psychotic stalker will often leave items in places where you'll find them: on your front doorstep, in your mailbox, on your YouTube channel, on your Facebook channel, on your website, in different categories on forums. Like they'll go to certain forums where you're a member and they'll like drop something there. Oh, I just happen to be here. I'm interested in this topic too. That's something I've heard before in the past. They may also do things like, call your house and leave a voicemail, right? Or call your house and leave a voicemail and, be at your favorite place that you like to go shopping so that you can hear in the background that they're there. They are very, very unstable people. Okay, psychotic stalkers do things that are very unstable. And for the most part, they don't even know they're unstable, right? So their behavior can come across as extremely weird. And that is something to keep in mind. Don't feel like, it's just a coincidence. No, it's not. There's probably some kind of tie to their psychosis and what they're trying to do to you. There's a connection. Look at the connection, try to connect the dots, and recognize that, okay, this strange behavior is done because this person's unstable. All right. The next one that I want you to think about is that they like to track and watch you with a clear intent to act. Okay, stalkers, especially psychotic stalkers, they don't just track you just to track you. They track you because they know that there is something that they want from you, right? They know that you're unaware that they want to act, right? And especially a psychotic stalker, if you have a psychotic stalker who has erotomanic delusions, and I'll put the definition over here for you, or some kind of jealous delusions or delusions of grandeur, you're likely to get an individual that thinks that you want to marry them, that you're going to date them, that they can Casanova you. That's my new word, guys. That's going to be my new clinical term, Casanova you. They want to believe, and a lot of times they do because they're psychotic, that there's some connection to you, right? So these individuals have an intent to act. They're not just following you because they like to look at you. They're not just trying to hurt you because they feel they can. They really believe that they have some possession that they need to gain possession over for good. They have an intent. Keep that in mind. The next thing is that they will try to get into your space without your permission. And again, let's go back to, they'll leave things in places where they know you'll find it, while they try to get into your presence without your permission. They're going to push the script, right? They're going to put their toe over the line. They're going to do whatever they need to do to bypass that boundary that you've put up, right? So when you notice that, that's when you need to backpedal, stop engaging, and move to the next stage, which is protecting yourself. Okay. Last but not least, they disregard you and your spouse. It doesn't matter to a psychotic or non-psychotic stalker for that matter, that you may be married, that you may have a husband or a wife, right? If you're a man, that you may have family, children, loved ones, right, that are protecting you. They don't even conceptualize that, wait a minute, maybe her husband's a police officer, or maybe that wife is an attorney, right? I'm going to get sued. Sometimes they don't even go so far as to think that maybe I can get myself 302'd and put into a hospital against my will. They have no ability to reason. They have no ability to really allow reality to click for them. They act, and really there's a undercurrent impulsivity that guides their immature and dangerous behavior. And I say dangerous because I think the worst stalker that there is, and I could be wrong, right? And I'm sure other clinicians have different views, but this is my personal view. I think the most dangerous stalker is the one who has no connection to reality. They are disconnected. They are psychotic. They are not able to reason appropriately. That is a problem. So, guys, these are stories that I have seen, all of these characteristics that I'm giving you and all of these different roles. These are stories, and I pull from the stories, and I do my research behind the scenes to give you what you need. These are real scenarios, and it is frightening. So I encourage you to do your own research. I'm going to put some resources in the description box for you below so that you can continue to do well with this topic and really get it inside, so that if you're going through this, or someone you know, or if you come in contact with somebody that has poor boundaries, you'll know exactly what to do. Thank you so much for being with me in this video today, guys. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if this was helpful, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stick around with us. Have a wonderful weekend and a Labor Day. I think we all need a break and some time to just kind of decompress. So take good care of yourself. Enjoy your holiday weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.